crashes make the rich richer. So if you want to get rich quick, I like the crashes. I invest as an insider. And for the average person who knows very little, they say, well, insider trading is illegal. No, it's not. So when people say, how do I change my life? Well, you change those words. I wouldn't go to school because you learn nothing about money in school. I wouldn't get a job because if I have a job, I'm an employee. And then I'd pay taxes. And I don't pay taxes. And I don't save money. And I use debt to get rich. And I don't invest in the stock market. That's why I'm rich. And so the young people who are listening right now are saying, but that's what my mom and dad said. But that's what mom and dad say all over the world. So to the young people, I just say challenge or question what you've been taught. Because from the Bible, I'm not religious, the word becomes flesh. So if you say, go to school, and you say, but I learned nothing about money. Get a job, you become an employee.
Yeah.
If you're an employee, you work for money, I pay taxes. Then they tell you to save money. Why would you save money when the government's printing money? You know, and get out of debt. Well, debt is money. I use debt to get rich. Most people use debt to get poor and invest in the stock market. I don't invest in the stock market. So when you wonder why so many people struggle financially, is they haven't challenged the hypnosis, the words. Go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, pay taxes. Until you question those hypnotic trances, you don't change. So when I was a little boy, I had poor dad and rich dad, you know, saying,
in your head.
He's saying, go to school. My rich dad goes, what a waste of time that is, you know.
Right.
And the way my rich dad taught me is just playing Monopoly. You know, 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. I learned about money. I learned to be a capitalist, not an employee. I don't pay taxes. I use debt for money. And I don't invest in the stock market. And when I say that to adults, they get angry at me. So, well, that's what I've done. I said, well, that's why you're poor. But when I said to young people, you have a chance yet. You have a chance. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying question the hypnotic trance put in your head, because that's what keeps people poor. The economy doesn't exist out here. The economy exists in here.
Yeah.
And until you change the words become flesh. If you get a job, you're an employee. If you save money, you're a saver. And why would you save money when they're printing money? And they say, invest in the stock market for your pension. Well, why would you do that? Because that's how they get your money. And, you know, get out of debt when guys like me are using debt as money. So question it. That's all I'm saying.
So what do you think that person should do? They've started to question their beliefs. They got it. They know, okay, I've been brainwashed. I know, but what do I do now next?
Well, not to be commercial about it, but you know, that's why I created the cash flow game.
Yeah.
It's the only game that teaches accounting.
Yeah.
And most people come out of school, they don't even know what accounting is. They say, oh, they taught me to balance a checkbook. I'm going, big deal, you know. You have to know assets and liabilities. You must understand taxes. The rich don't pay taxes.
Yeah.
And the rich use debt as money. So the question is, that's what I had to do when I was in my 20s. I said, how is it the rich learn to use debt as money? That's a challenge. And the brain goes,
because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, you got it. And then how do they not pay taxes? And what you'll find out in my new book, Fake, is the combination of debt and taxes. You see, the more debt I use, the less tax I pay.
Right.
It's counterintuitive.
And that works because you're creating jobs, or why is that working?
Well, there's many reasons,
okay.
And that's why I have the best tax advisors. The biggest thing for most young people is that our schools teach us to be ICs, independent contractors,
okay,
or self-employed, or even if you're an employee, you're still an independent contractor who has a job, and you do it by yourself. You know, I think much of the young world is in the selfie world. You know, look at me, look at me,
yeah.
Look at me. Whereas In my world, it's a team sport. I'm a rugby player. I go on the field with a team, toughest, meanest guys I know. And so you could be the A student from Princeton, but I go on this field with 15 tough men, kick your ass. And so the average guy is coming out there, you know, like, oh, I got an A, I went to Princeton, I went to Harvard, and the corporate America comes out and they go, boom. So that's why when I talk to young people, I say, look, it's a team sport. So the first person I have is a bookkeeper. Bookkeeper is the lowest paid person on my team, but the most important.
Right.
The bookkeeper then keeps the accurate records that my accountant can use, and my attorney can use, and my banker can use. That's the combination there. And my banker, my attorney, and my accountant must work together as a team. Most people, their bankers, accountants, and attorneys don't work together as teams, because in school we're taught to take our tests on our own. If you ask for help, you're cheating. In my world, it's called cooperation. And what I found with most smart people, they don't know how to cooperate. They don't know how to ask for help, because in their brains, that's cheating. It means you're stupid. It means you're weak. It means you're stupid. I didn't have that problem because I was stupid in school, so I was asked for help. But the teacher says that's cheating. And I want the smartest attorneys, accountants, bookkeepers, bankers, politicians. I come at it as a team. Just think about this. You know, it's like a basketball team. They're playing basketball. But you went to Harvard, you have a master's, your PhD, but you're playing against 5 guys. You know, I don't care how smart you are. Those 5 guys will kick your butt all day long.
This is not in the movies. Bruce Lee cannot really beat 10 people in real life,
That's right. But that's what
in the
people
movies,
don't believe.
that's what's perceived. Like if you're good enough, you can beat 10 people.
Yeah, that's
in real
not
life,
true.
you're going to lose every
Not
time.
not in the corporate world. So I operate according to the rules of corporate America.
Yeah.
I don't operate according to the rules of employee America. They're different. The tax rules for corporate guys is less than employees. Employees pay the highest taxes.
Yeah.
Guys like Trump and me pay 0. The biggest thing about fake is, you know, the dollar became fake, the US dollar became fake money in '71. But it's the fake teachers. Why would you listen to a poor person? Why would you listen to a poor person about money? And that was my poor dad. Very good man, PhD, but he always says, go to school, get a job, work hard, pay taxes, get out of debt, and invest in the stock market. He's trying to hypnotize me. And my rich dad, thank God I had a rich dad, he goes, you gotta be an idiot to follow that advice. And so you're a very bright young man to pick up Rich Dad, Poor Dad is only a book on accounting. My cash flow game is only a book on accounting.
That's a game.
It's all, but if you don't know accounting, you don't have accountability.
Yeah.
You know, you have accountability in your life. And then you can question when somebody tells you to invest in the stock market, I go, well, when do I get my money back? So in fake, I talk about the infinite return. I never use my money. I don't need to save money. I use debt 100% of the time, and I don't pay taxes. So I took real estate courses, not because I like real estate, because real estate is about debt and taxes.
Right.
So the more debt I use, which is real money, debt is real money, the less tax I pay.
And especially with the interest rates right now, they've been lowest in the last 5,000 years or something like that.
Money is cheap right now, 0. Get it free.
Yeah.
Why would you save it? Why would you save it when they print it? And I talk about trade, you know, investing. I invest as an insider. And for the average person who knows very little, they say, well, insider trading is illegal. No, it's not. But they've been programmed to think it's illegal. There are certain forms of investing where insider trading is illegal. But for the most part, it isn't illegal. But what fires off, because they've been hypnotized, oh, insider trading, he's a crook. Oh, and he doesn't pay taxes. Do you think I'd be writing about it if I was a criminal? So I wrote fake so people could challenge the hypnosis in their brains, you know, go to school, work hard, pay taxes, get out of debt. I used debt as money, because in 1971, money became debt.
people look at it now, and because they're scared and they're safety oriented, thinking, oh, I couldn't really start now because there's a financial crisis coming.
Yeah.
So why would I start now? So it's still the safety that they're looking for. So what would you think about, what would you say about that, about the financial crisis coming up? If, well, there should be some sort of corrections happening in the future.
Well, let me ask you this. If you had bought a ticket to get on the Titanic, right?
Yeah.
And you knew it was going to sink, what would you do?
I'll build the best boat to get out of it.
I would be getting ready to get off of it as quickly as possible.
Okay.
You know? I would be looking at life rafts and checking things out and, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
Because we're going down.
Yeah.
And this is the difference. Crashes make the rich richer. So what happens is, there's an old saying in investing, the bear goes up, the bull goes up the stairs. There's bulls and bears, right?
Yeah.
So the bull goes up the stairs, the bear goes out the window. So if you want to get rich quick, I like the crashes.
Because you can buy low.
Oh, shit, it comes down so fast. So if you can do it in stocks, you can short the thing, you can do, you know, naked put, yeah. You can be instantly quick. But it's slow going up, but it's fast when it crashes. So right now, if I was a young person, I'd be taking probably a stock options course to trade the market coming down, because you'll get rich faster that way. It takes about 5 years to practice that. But I love crashes. You know, I get really excited about a crash. Unfortunately, most people get wiped out. But nonetheless, the facts are crashes make the rich richer. That's why fake is fight fake with facts.
Yeah.
So if you want to get rich quick, you know, it's when the Titanic is going down, you can sell lifeboats. You have to make mistakes to learn, but our schools punish you for making mistakes. And then they also punish you for asking for help, because that's called cheating. I call it cooperation.
Yeah.
So everything is opposite from school. You know, entrepreneurs are not going to make good employees.
So you might as well think of your conditioning and do the opposite, and you're probably better off.
Well, you got to change, go to school, get a job, save money, pay taxes.
Yeah.
You know, the question right now is, how do I make so much money, I use debt, and I pay no taxes legally? I said, I wouldn't be saying that if I was crooked about it. But I don't have to hide, because I do it legally.
When people hear this advice, then they go out in the world, and me included, but let's say I've done some sports, you've obviously had military training and all the things that I think evolved discipline in you, I'm thinking. But what would be your advice to toughen up? Because otherwise, any challenge that faces you, you're just going to fade and go back to safety.
Correct. Well, I think that's one of the biggest problems is that people, the word is called resilience.
Okay.
If you know, like the greatest athlete in my time is Tiger Woods.
Well, he just won a championship again.
Yeah, but he went way up, and he came down as, you know, his wife caught him cheating, you know, everything, the humiliation, and then his back goes out, he has surgery. And after this long down period, he comes roaring back up to the top. And if you've ever been to Augusta, the golf course where the Masters is played, that is the toughest golf course I have ever seen. I don't know how those guys play that course.
Yeah.
You have to be a mountain goat to play that course, you know. I mean, these guys are taking shots from down here, the green's up here. And these guys are going, holy mackerel. So he came back. So if there's a story of resilience and determination and a comeback, it's Tiger Woods. I mean, my esteem of, I'm in awe of that guy. He is really a great man to come from the top to the bottom, back to the top, you know. And we all have that in us, except in school we told, don't make mistakes. You know, if you fail, you're stupid. Well, he came back, it made him stronger. The most obsolete idea is go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, and invest for the long term in the stock market. See, why would you save money when they're printing trillions of dollars? The gap between the 1% and 99% is massive. You see, it's not just money. You have to step back and look at the bigger picture.
So what do you do?
In every one of us is a poor person. There's still a poor person inside me. There's also a middle class person, and the middle class person wants security. They want that steady paycheck. And there's a rich person. And They're all inside of us, except that it's not taught. You're taught to go to school, get a job, and get a paycheck. You're not taught to how to get rich. If you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, my rich dad refused to pay me. He said the paycheck was one of the most damaging things you could take in your life. He says the moment you take a paycheck, you're an employee, and that's the mindset. So my rich dad never paid me. He drove my poor dad, government employee, nuts. You gotta pay people, you gotta pay people. And Rich Dad was not saying that the paycheck was bad. He says you didn't want to be a slave to money. So as an entrepreneur, if Rich Dad folded, I just started another company. I don't need a paycheck. I don't need anybody to take care of me. If my government doesn't like me, I move to another country because they need entrepreneurs there. So the entrepreneur is not so much the business. The entrepreneur is really the mindset and the skill sets and the different set of rules. You see, I don't operate, small business does not operate in the same rules as big business. Entrepreneur is a mindset first, a skill set, and rules. And depending upon whether you're an employee or a small business, the rules are different. The mindsets are different, the skill sets are different.
If you could say one thing to somebody who's never been an entrepreneur and they're thinking about making the leap of faith into becoming an entrepreneur, what could you tell them?
Well, I'll just tell them the same thing that happened to me. My last paycheck, I still remember it clearly. It was one of the worst and the best days of my life. And I was in Puerto Rico. I was working for Xerox, and my boss gave me my last, it wasn't a paycheck, it was a bonus check. I think it was about 30,000 bucks. Taxable, it's the only problem with that. So I got this check and I went, holy mackerel. You know what I mean? So I was excited, but I was also disturbed. And so this other guy comes up to me, his name was John, and John says to me, he says, you're gonna be back. I said, why? He says, because you're gonna fail. I looked at him and said, look, few expletive words, because that's what he did. He left Xerox, failed, and he came back. And I said, look, you failed and you came back, but I'm gonna fail and I'm never coming back. And that's the attitude. Do you know what I mean? If you say, well, if I fail, I'll go back to mommy and daddy, then that's what you'll do. So if you fail, that's when I became an entrepreneur, because I had no money. I had no money for years. I didn't have a paycheck. But that's what my rich dad encouraged me to do. He says, when you don't have this paycheck, you get hungrier, smarter, and it's a test of your character. Will you become a crook? Will you become dishonest? Will you cheat and steal? Or will you become a better human being? So really, that's the benefit of becoming an entrepreneur, is you really find out who you are when you don't have anything. So you always have to look at the big picture. Too many people look at, well, what's going to happen to me? When you look at the big picture, you're also going to know that when something bad happens, something good's going to happen. But you got to prepare for whatever is coming. If you think next 20 years will be like the last 20 years, you're going to get creamed. When you and I go to the supermarket and we buy a carton of milk, we always check for the expiration date. But most people do not check for the expiration date on their brains. Instead of get out of debt, I get into debt. I just refinanced $300 million in debt. I went from 5% to 2.5% interest. I made a fortune. Every month, more money comes in because my cost of money has gone down. So while some financial experts are saying get out of debt, I'm saying learn how to use debt. So when I came back from in Vietnam in January of '73, the first thing my rich dad said to me was go to school to learn how to invest in real estate. It wasn't real estate, it was how to use debt and taxes. Debt and taxes make the rich richer. Debt and taxes make the poor, the middle class, poor. So all the rich guys who are doctors and lawyers or, those guys, they're getting creamed and they don't know why.
Doctors are getting creamed.
Oh yeah, they're making more money, but the take home is less.
Sure.
My doctor just yelled at me, he was happy, he says, oh, guess what, I finally made $1 million. And I said, yeah, this was just 3 weeks ago. And so I said, yeah, well, how much you pay in tax? He says, $750,000 in taxes. So his net was about $400,000. That's not bad. But when I make $1 million, I keep $1 million. And the reason is because I don't make it by working for money. See, if you work for money, you're taxed. So that's why lesson number one in Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the rich don't work for money. What we do instead is we create businesses as entrepreneurs. We acquire real estate. I don't want to invest in the stock market. Okay? So the reason is because as entrepreneurs, I have more control over my income, how much I make, and how much I pay in taxes. And because I'm an entrepreneur as well as an investor in real estate, I pay zero tax. So every time I make, let's say, $1 million as an entrepreneur, I immediately invested in real estate and have a 4-to-1 step up. So I put $1 million in real estate, I get $4 million from the bank. That's why I love banks. But the banks are screwing everybody else, terrible, but it's good for me.
That's why you say when you print, it's good for you, but when you print, it's bad for people that work for money.
Because when you print, savers get creamed and people who work for money get creamed. When they print, debtors get rich. You see, debt and taxes make the rich richer, and debt and taxes make the poor middle class poorer. When we have obsolete ideas, we get obsolete results. So what's happening for most people, the idea of going to school, getting a job, working hard, saving money, getting out of debt, buying your house because it's an asset, and investing for the long term, is obsolete. The world has changed. The world changed in 1971 when President Nixon took us off the gold standard and money became debt.
What if we get rid of school? Then what would happen? Would it be better if we had no educational system at all?
No, I'm saying education is more important before. It's just obsolete. There's Moore's Law which states information doubles every 18 months. In other words, everything's obsolete 18 months. So, and this is just a recent phenomenon. So when you come out of school, you're already obsolete. And that's why I'm the old guy, I meet my friends who went to Harvard. Yeah, I went to Harvard. I said, yeah, that was how long, 50 years ago? Today, the banks are charging you interest to save money. In other words, banks don't want your money because they printed too much of it. And that's why there's this bubbles in stocks and bubbles in real estate and all this. People are dumping the cash because, as I said in here, savers are losers and cash is trash. And yet people, well, I want a high-paying job. Well, that's an obsolete idea. Get out of debt is an obsolete idea. You should learn how to get into debt, how to use debt to get rich, and they'll never teach you about taxes. The reason the 1% is way up here and the 99% are going this way is because when you print money, two things happen: inflation and taxes. It's crushing them. And any entrepreneur thinks, I'm just going to make money, I'm going to start a business and make a lot of money because of what we talk about. They really have got to smell the roses, man. That's not what the real entrepreneurs are doing. Most entrepreneurs, there's 28 million small business owners in America. 24 million are what are one-person entrepreneurs. They're called non-employee entrepreneurs. So and that's what happens is when people don't really understand what an entrepreneur does. So most big people are self-employed, but they're not really entrepreneurs. The self-employed pay the highest taxes of all, and nobody tells them that. Yeah, it's also called the entrepreneurial spirit, but what we were actually talking about was there's no such thing as a bad economy. There's external, you and I, we all have an external economy, but we also have an internal economy, and the willpower is to change our internal economy. So for me, I can see the good and I can see the bad. I don't really give a damn because I'm going to be rich anyway. But a poor person with a poor personal economy, all they're going to see is a bad economy because they don't know how to make money in any economy. And a middle class person, they have a middle class economy. What they want is a nice house and a steady paycheck and the job and the car. And so when you take their job away, to them, that's disaster. Well, since an entrepreneur doesn't have a job anyway, it's no big deal. So all I'm saying to people, and it's what Bucky Fuller taught me, is always two sides, you know what I mean? Unity is plural, at minimum two. So if you think the economy is bad, it's because your economy is bad. If you think that steady, employment is important, then you'll see an economy without jobs. Your economy versus the external economy.
What you control versus what you can't control.
I can control. Yeah, it's called an internal focus versus an external focus. So the real entrepreneur has an internal focus that if they fall down, they say, oh, this is good because I'm going to go up higher. You know, the average person will fall down and say, oh, I'm going to take some Prozac. Or somebody has a mistake, so, oh, the mistakes don't matter. Well, mistakes matter. It means you didn't know something. But a real entrepreneur, whether they fall down, they always can go up. They can stand back up and go higher. That no matter what happens to them, they get stronger and better and smarter and happier. But a person with a weak internal mindset is that they're so afraid of what happens, it generally happens. Like, you know, people who are afraid of losing their jobs, they generally lose their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
everything
you can
comes through you.
Yeah, so the entrepreneur first job is to control inside here, not outside there. The moment you take that paycheck, you're an employee. You've got to be stronger than that. It's about inside control.